بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا وقدوتنا محمد عليه أفضل الصلاة وأزكى التسليم اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين. Welcome everybody to our convert care activity for the month. This is a Q&A session. We're live, we're on Zoom, and it's also being recorded. Everything is anonymous. However, there will be a chance to ask follow-up questions. I want to just start with a brief word about questions and answers and the fact that this is recorded.
Recording in progress.
There we go, bismillah. So everybody knows. When somebody comes to ask a question, the person who's responding, whether they're an imam, whether they're a mufti, whether they're any sort of religious figure, even a counselor, somebody who's not of a religious sort of stature, they are partially dependent upon the information that the person gives them. And questioners know this because questioners, some of them, either hide some details or emphasize other details in order to get a certain answer. Right? We know that we call this fatwa shopping, right, in the Muslim community. But sometimes it's unconscious. Sometimes it's not a malicious thing. Sometimes it's just that people are only used to thinking about an issue from one perspective, whereas the mufti or the imam or the person who's supposed to be more learned has to kind of try to ascertain what's behind the question. And to do that, you need a personal relationship. Or let's say the stronger your personal relationship is with somebody, the more the answerer, whether it's a mufti or an imam, is going to be able to do that. If somebody gets random questions from somebody they don't know online, then the answers are going to be fairly generic, right? But if I know the individual person who's asking the question, I know what they've been through, I know what their husband is like, I know what their home life is like, I know all these sorts of details about them, their own personal development, their own personal growth within Islam as a believer, then I'm able to give that person a much, much better answer, right? And this is a principle that we find all over the deen when it comes to tafsir or hadith or, talking about the Quran, that the al-khas yufaddal or yufaddal ala al-am, right? Something that's more specific takes priority and precedence over something that's more general. And somebody who, all else being equal, of course. So everybody who asked the exact question that they asked today, if I know your situation, then I'm going to be able to provide a more accurate answer. If I don't know your situation, then maybe I make a mistake. I mean, I might make a mistake anyway, but you know what I'm saying? Like my the chances that it's not going to fit exactly your situation are greater. Somebody who's asking a question online that don't even know anything about their country or what their situation is like, then the likelihood that my answer is not going to fit their exact situation is going to be even greater. So that's all to say that sometimes you have to take things with a grain of salt. Maybe you're in a really hard situation, you've looked online, Islam Q&A or any of these sort of fatwa banks, and you find something and, you don't agree with it. Maybe it's not meant for you. Maybe it's meant for somebody else in a very specific situation. And this comes back to the Prophet ﷺ and his practice and his sunnah. One time he was asked by one individual about kissing his wife when he was fasting. And he told him, don't do it. And then another person came and asked the Prophet ﷺ about kissing his wife when he was fasting. And he said, you know what, it's okay. Why did he give two different answers? Is it a contradiction? No, because he was being a mufti. He was occupying the role of a mufti in that situation. And the two people who asked him the question were in completely different scenarios. The one person was a young man, right, full of vit and vigor, right, and had the juices flowing, and so that type of person probably can't control themselves. So the Prophet ﷺ told him, no, don't kiss your wife when you're fasting. Whereas the other person who asked was an old man, somebody who, he's past his prime, right? Who knows? Let's just say he probably isn't going to be susceptible to the same sorts of influences and problems or proclivities as the young man. And so the Prophet ﷺ told him, then he gave him a different answer. He said that, yeah, you can do it and you'll be okay. So that's the spirit with which we tackle these questions.